Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. Today we're going to be running through my tier list for the 2021 starting LEC supports. This is actually the last of the 5 starting positions we have to get through for the LEC. So if you want to check out any of my past tier lists, those are on my channel. You guys can definitely take a look at those. But this is the last one we have to get through. It's been a crazy 2021 offseason where we've seen a ton of changes, moves to all these rosters and stuff. So I just want to get my thoughts and opinions out here early on before the season starts so I can let you guys know what I'm thinking. So then once the season actually starts, we can kind of start to compare it, start flaming each other, saying what we got right, what we got wrong, all that great stuff. And I definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on the LEC supports as well. So definitely leave a comment down below. Again, letting me know, what did I get right? What did I get wrong? What do you guys think? What's your tier list looking like? And real quick, before we get in this, I just want to mention real quick a word from our sponsor, which is my new line of merch. This is the Germ Signature Collection. It's a new thing we're trying. It's going to be a really limited, really short-term release of merch where I'm just trying the new thing out, trying to get my feet wet in kind of the merch game. If you guys do want to support my channel, support me, my content, this is an awesome way to do it. You get a really nice polyester blend shirt, which should be of really high quality. So if that sounds interesting to you guys, definitely check that out. With that being said, here we go. My LEC tier list. First up, we got Kaiser, obviously the support for Mad Lions. This guy was the first team All-LEC support in summer. He was an absolute beast throughout all of summer split, and that's why, people really thought he was the best. But then we saw Mad Lions as a whole. Obviously, a ton of their players looked amazing. Carzy, Humanoid, Kaiser, Shadow looked like he was the best jungler in the LEC for a little while, especially as G2 and Fnatic were kind of slumping at times. And Mad Lions was just really, they were up high for a lot of the split. But then, obviously, they came crashing down a little bit towards the end of the split. Into the summer playoffs, they didn't look that amazing. They ended up finishing 4th place. Obviously, they were still able to make it to Worlds. But then at Worlds, it was a big disappointment for a lot of these players. So, people are kind of down on a lot of the Mad Lions players right now. They're kind of going back in time and kind of just trying to discredit all the things that these players did. But the Mad Lions players had an insane season. Just because they didn't do that great in the playoffs, just because they didn't do that well in at Worlds, it doesn't mean they don't have bright futures ahead of them, and doesn't mean that they're not insanely talented players. Kaiser was an absolute beast in the LEC in summer 2020, and I think he's going to be an absolute beast in throughout the entire 2021 season. I think Mad Lions is looking like another exciting team this season. I think hopefully they'll be able to get past that mental block, kind of shake off what happened towards the end of last year, shake off what happened at Worlds. Hopefully they'll be able to start fresh. I think Kaiser is an easy S tier for me. Next up, we have Promiscu. I think it's funny that this guy's back in the LEC starting. Obviously, the meme is that he's the 2018 MSI champion as a support. That might have been 2019, actually. 2019 MSI champion as support. He's a funny guy that we've seen in the scene for a long time. A lot of people like him. A lot of people, root for him, want him to do well. But in my opinion, he's probably going to be the worst support in the LEC this year, especially because he's on Astralis, and man, their roster just looks so rough. I think they have one of the weaker players in the league at every single position. I think it's going to be tough for that team to succeed as a whole. Promiscu, he seems like a funny dude. I want him to do well. I know a lot of people are wishing for him to do well. But for me, if anybody's got to be F tier, it's got to be Promiscu. It's got to be the MSI champion. That was back in the day. He got his championship, and now he's got to come back to reality. He's coming off a decent year with Mouse Esports. Obviously, played well enough to work his way back into the LEC. But I don't know. He's F tier for me. Next up, we have Vander, who's obviously coming off a really great year with Rogue. He looked amazing. He was just a huge playmaker, just a very good player for them, and especially in the summer split, really took his game to a next level, really helped Rogue as a whole just be this really insane team, looking like the second best team in Europe, for much of summer split, looking like a team. They were able to go to Worlds, and they did all right. They didn't do great. They obviously disappointed a little bit, but the Rogue team as a whole had a lot of bright spots, a lot of things to be excited for, and one of those was Vander for sure. But now he's moving over to Misfits, which is a crazy change. It'll be interesting to see how he goes from playing with Hansama to now playing with Kabe. But people are really excited for him to be playing with Kabe as well. Obviously, Kabe is no slouch. That's going to be interesting and exciting. It's going to see how well they can start to kind of build for the future of Misfits, to see how they're able to carry games for this team, who is, he's going to be on a worse team for sure. The Misfits team is not going to be as good as Rogue. And Vander's going to get to prove, if it was him making the plays on his own, or if he was just a product of being on a good team. I don't know. We'll see. But I am excited to see him laning with Kabe. I think that's going to be very fun to watch. I think that's going to be exciting. And I think Misfits could be an interesting team in 2021. I think Vander's an easy A tier for me. He's very solid. I think he's definitely a step down from some of the very top guys in the LEC. But he is very, very good. If you have Vander as your support, you're going to be fine. He's top 4 or 5 for sure for me in the LEC. That's an easy A tier. Next up, we have Limit, who's going to be coming over from SK Gaming over to Schalke. He's going to be paired up with Neon in the bot lane. That is another bot lane that people are going to be pretty excited for. Obviously, Dreams is going to be kind of hard to replace. Some people think Limit's a little bit better. Some people think he's a little bit worse. I'm not exactly sure how this move is going to work out. Limit is a guy who I think he's just, pretty regular, pretty middle of the pack. I don't hate him. I don't think he's bad, but I'm not super, super excited about him. I don't know exactly how he's going to fit into the Schalke team. I don't know exactly how they're going to work out. Schalke's a team that overall I'm pretty excited for. Obviously, coming off that miracle run that they had, they've made some interesting moves. They have Broken Blade now in the top lane, who is another kind of player that we don't really know exactly what to expect from, how he's going to do in the LEC, how that's all going to work out. Is Abadage going to be able to regain his form from last year where he was just absolutely popping off, especially towards the end of the year in the playoffs? Is Gilius going to continue to be a beast? We'll see how that all works out. Limit is going to be a big question mark for me. I think he was decent with SK last year. He was all right. He was never really terrible, but he was never really amazing either. He's kind of a lower B tier for me. Again, he's not bad at all. I'm just not super, super high about him. I'm not super excited about him. And I don't know if he'll be able to, if he's going to be like a significant upgrade over Dreams. I think we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out. Next up, we have Trimby, who is coming into Rogue. He has some big shoes to fill, obviously, with Vander leaving, how much of a beast Vander was last year, how integral Vander was to this team's success. And Trimby coming in from AGO Rogue, he had an amazing year last year, or amazing split with AGO Rogue. Obviously, that team absolutely popped off. A lot of those players looked amazing. A lot of those players are getting chances in the LEC now, and people are really, really excited for them. They think, as a whole, those individual players are going to be able to come in the LEC and start doing damage right away. So people are hyped up for Trimby, and obviously Rogue must be pretty hyped up for Trimby as well, because they wouldn't just let Vander go unless they were pretty sure about the guy that they had coming in, because Rogue is a team that's trying to win right now. They have players, Larson, Inspired, Hansama. They have players ready to go, ready to win right now, compete for LEC titles, hopefully go to groups and be able to make it, or hopefully go to Worlds and be able to make it out of groups this time. So they must have a lot of faith in Trimby. Again, the pressure is going to be on him to start succeeding and being successful right away. But I think he's going to do well. I'm excited for him. I'm going to be starting him off in the high B tier. I think if he has a good split, good year, he could easily move himself into this A tier, where he's, competing with Vander for that one of the top spots in the LEC. But I think to give him too much before he's proven anything to us in the LEC, I think would be silly. So again, I'm going to be starting off in the high B tier. I'm excited for him. I think he's going to be one of the better newcomers to the LEC this year. But we'll see how that plays out. Next up, we have Treats. Coming over from TSM. He's had a crazy couple of years. He has been one of the best supports in the NA Academy scene. He hasn't really gotten too many opportunities in the LCS. We saw him play a little bit with TSM this past summer split, and he looked good at times, but then also he didn't look great at times as well. A lot of people are going to attribute that to Doublelift being washed up and not being very good. Because we did see some very, very good games from Treats in the LCS. He did show some signs of being a very, very top tier caliber support in the LCS. People will meme that, the LCS is a whole different league. And just because you did well in the LCS doesn't mean you're going to do well in the LEC. We'll see exactly how that all goes. He's coming over to SK, and he is going to be in an interesting spot. We're going to see how this whole team works out. There's a lot of new faces, a lot of young guys on this roster. And yeah, I don't know exactly how it's going to work out. It'll be interesting to see how all these guys pair up, how well they're able to play. I'm a big fan of Treats. I think he does have some talent, but again, I saw some of those bad games. He didn't always look great in the LCS, and again, I do believe that the LEC is a little bit harder, most likely. So we'll see. I'm excited for Treats. I think he has a bright future ahead of him, especially as he gets more comfortable, as he starts to play more games. I think he's a solid B tier. I'm rooting for him. I'm hoping the best for him. I want to see him succeed in Europe, so I'm going to be starting him off in the B tier. Next up, we have Lebron, obviously the support for Vitality. He's going to be duoing with Comp in the bot lane, and that is an interesting little duo. They're both just very, very solid. They're both even good at times, but neither one of them really stands out to me as this like top tier level talent. I'm not super, super excited about either of them. That's how I feel about a lot of the players on Vitality in general. I think they're going to be a pretty middle of the pack team with middle of the pack players at every single position, and being a middle of the pack player in the LEC isn't even that bad. That's not an insult or anything. I just don't see Lebron, stepping up and going to like the level of like somebody like Vander this year or Kaiser, something like that. I see him being a pretty middle of the pack support. I'm going to put him, I guess, ahead of Treats and Limit, but maybe a little bit below Trimby because I am pretty excited for him. I think LeBron's going to have a good year, a solid year. I don't think he's ever going to be too terrible. He's not going to lose you a ton of games, but I don't think he's going to be straight winning a ton of games either. I don't think he's going to be carrying Vitality, to new heights or anything crazy like that. I know some people are really, really excited to see Comp and Lebron continue to grow and develop, and I have had people say comments that I'm, underrating them a little bit or sleeping on them a little bit. we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I think in the LEC, support is a pretty loaded position. It's pretty tough to succeed. And if he can shine, then yes, he's a beast. But we'll see if he's able to do that, especially with some of these new faces coming in. I think Trimby and Treats are going to be a tough competition as well. Next up, we have Mickey. Obviously, Mickey, the support for G2. A lot of stuff to talk about here. He's been an absolute beast the last couple of years. You never know if you're getting Mickey X or Mickey XD. He has a lot of games where he ints, but that's just kind of the G2 style. It's how they play. They go crazy for big, aggressive plays. They limit test all the time. Mickey has an absolutely insane champion pool. He can play all different kinds of stuff. He's always down to pick whatever the team needs. As crazy or as silly as that might be, he's fit in a ton of different metas. He's been very dominant in the LEC. He's been very dominant internationally. He's an absolute world-class support, absolute top tier. And obviously, I think he's going to be a beast again in 2021. I'm really hyped up for this G2 team. I think, honestly, with Reckless as his AD carry, where he's been having to play with Perks, who is obviously not a traditional AD carry. He's been having to play with Caps, who's not a traditional AD carry. I think perhaps this year, Mickey could really take his game to the next level, getting to lane with Reckless. They are friends. They've played with each other a ton before in solo queue, duoing, stuff like that. This could be an absolutely massive year for Mickey, and I think people are kind of sleeping on that a little bit. He's easy S tier for me. I think he's the best support in the LEC. I think he's going to be the best this year. I think he's really, really going to shine with Reckless in the bot lane. Next up, we have Toray. This is a guy that we've seen in the LEC before. Obviously, his name is formerly Norscarin, and he's done decent. He's made it to Worlds, I think, just once before. He's looked okay. He's never looked too exciting. And he didn't have that great of a year last year. I think this is a guy where if he doesn't really show out this year, he could be out of the LEC for good. So this might be the last chance for him. We'll have to see how that goes. This is another guy who I'm just not super excited about. I don't think he's terrible. I don't think he's like super, super bad. But again, with all these new faces, new talent coming in, there's a ton of players to be excited about, and there's a ton of players dominating right now. And since he's just so like meh, so bad at times, so average at times, he's an easy C tier for me. Not really excited about him. Don't really have too much to say about him other than he really needs to make a big step up this year, or he's probably going to be out of the league. Yeah, I think he's clearly below a lot of these other guys. Even if maybe he's, as good or maybe even a little bit better than some of these guys, I think he has much less hype, much less potential, much less building for the future. So that's going to be a C tier for me. And finally, the last support that we're going to be talking about is Hylissang. There was some rumors that maybe he'd be leaving Fnatic this offseason, especially with Reckless leaving. He had some different offers, he had some different opportunities, but he's chose to come back to Fnatic. And honestly, Fnatic did a good job of giving him a solid team around him again. He's getting Upset as his AD carry. They have Niski in the mid lane, who's going to be roaming all over the map, probably helping out bot lane a bunch. It will be interesting to see how Hylissang meshes with Upset, how he meshes with kind of some of his new teammates, because obviously him and Niski are going to be making a lot of plays together, because Hylissang is a guy who loves to roam around, loves to make huge plays. And this is another guy just like Mickey, kind of where he has some super int games. I've seen Hylissang go 0-9 I feel like on Nautilus sometimes, and it can be rough, but he's coming off a very, very good Worlds performance. Reckless and Hylissang look like one of the best bot lanes at the entire World Tournament. They absolutely popped off. They were not the reason for Fnatic's failures, for Fnatic not being able to make it to the semifinals at Worlds. I'm super, super excited for him. Everybody's excited for him again. He's a super fun player to watch, and any team with Hylissang as support is going to be doing well. This is another guy who's absolutely world-class. And he is an easy S tier for me. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. This is my 2021 LEC support tier list. This is a little bit more of a weird one. Usually I like to have like 2 people in each category, but I think there's just a lot of middle of the pack talent in the LEC. It's very top and then very in the middle. But yeah, this is my list. This is what I'm thinking. Again, let me know what I got right, what I got wrong. What's your guys' tier list? Leave that comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like. Subscribe to update on the latest content. Check me out over at Twitch, twitch.tv/I_am_germ. If you want some merch, it's going to be the first link in the description below. Hopefully I catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace!